Every massive company out there, every game-changing product, it all started with just a little spark, an idea. But how do you know if that spark is the kind that can light a real fire? Well, today, we're going to break down the founder's guide to turning that brilliant idea into a genuine business opportunity. Think of it as your compass in the wild.
So you've got it, that light bulb moment, the next big thing. But here's the billion-dollar question every single founder has to face. Is this just a cool idea in your head, or is it a true opportunity? Is it a problem that people will literally open up their wallets to have you solve? Because let me tell you, the gap between those two can be absolutely massive.
And that's exactly where this comes in. You gotta stop thinking of market research as some boring chore. It's not. It's your compass. It's the one tool that steers you away from making incredibly expensive guesses and points you directly toward a strategy that's built on real evidence. It's gonna save you time, money, and a whole lot of heartache on the road.
So, here's our game plan for this explainer. First, we'll run through the primary research playbook. That's how you get fresh insights. Then we'll open up the toolkit and look at qualitative versus quantitative methods. After that, we'll cover some awesome smart cuts using data that's already out there. And finally, we'll talk about how to turn all that raw data into actual, confident decisions.
All right, let's dive right into our first section, the primary research playbook. Think of this as your step-by-step guide to gathering your own unique intelligence. We're talking straight from the horse's mouth.
This 6-step process, this is your framework. It moves you super logically from that big initial question, what am I really trying to figure out here, all the way to the most critical part, using what you've learned to make smarter choices and make your plan even better.
So what is primary research exactly? Simple. It's when you go out and collect brand spanking new data to answer the specific questions you have about your product and your market. This is data nobody else has, it's yours.
Let's make this super real for a second. Imagine you're a water bottle company. Sales are tanking and you have no clue why. Your research goal isn't just find out what's wrong. No, it's specific. Use a focus group to figure out the exact reason why sales are down. See? By setting a super clear goal like understanding the why, you're setting yourself up to get answers you can actually use, not just a pile of numbers.
Look, you can't talk to everybody on the planet, so you have to choose a sample. And here's the key. That little group of people has to be a miniature version of your actual target market. If you get this wrong, if you survey the wrong people, you could build an absolutely brilliant product that nobody you're targeting actually wants, all based on bad data.
Okay, section 2, the toolkit. Now that you know what you're asking and who you're asking, it's time to pick the right tools for the job. And really, it all boils down to two big approaches, qualitative and quantitative research.
Here's the difference in a nutshell. Qualitative research is all about the why. It gives you the juicy details, the deep opinions, the motivations. Think interviews and deep conversations. On the other hand, quantitative is all about the how many. It gives you the hard numbers, the stats, the scale. Think surveys. Honestly, to get the full picture, you usually need a bit of both.
A classic qualitative tool is the focus group. You get a small group of people in a room and you just have a guided conversation. It's absolutely fantastic for digging into how people feel, for uncovering those hidden needs, and really understanding the subtle reasons behind their opinions.
Now, this next one is one of my favorites, ethnographic research. This is just a fancy way of saying you watch people in their natural habitat. Seriously, you can do this with zero budget. Go hang out at a coffee shop where your ideal customers are and just observe. What are they struggling with? How are they using products? It's all about being a detective in your customer's world.
And here it is, the payoff from just watching people. Our water bottle company discovers an unstated need. Now, customers aren't walking around saying, I wish my lid didn't leak. No, they're just dealing with spills on their way to work. And that's what this kind of research is amazing at. It uncovers the problems that people can't always put into words themselves.
So then on the quantitative side, you've got these really powerful tools like conjoint analysis. The best way to think about this is like a this or that survey on steroids. It forces people to make realistic trade-offs, just like they would in a store. Like, would you pay $5 more for a totally leak-proof lid if it meant you couldn't get it in your favorite color? The answers to those questions reveal what features customers actually value enough to pay for.
So gathering all that primary data is incredibly powerful, but let's be real, it can take a lot of time and money. So now let's talk about a smart cut, tapping into huge troves of existing data through what's called secondary research.
Secondary research is pretty much what it sounds like.
You're using data that someone else already did all the heavy lifting to collect. We're talking about government agencies, big research centers, trade groups. For any founder who's on a tight budget, this is the absolute perfect place to start.
And you want to know the best part? So many of the best sources are totally 100% free. Places like the US Census Bureau or the Pew Research Center are just gold mines of data on demographics, social trends, economics, you name it. You can understand the entire landscape of your market before you spend a single dollar. And then, of course, if you do have a budget, you can go even deeper. Paid services like Nielsen or Experience Simmons, they provide insanely detailed consumer data on everything from what people watch to exactly what they buy. This is really the next level of insight.
Okay, so we've gathered all this data, right, from primary sources, secondary sources, but data is really just noise until you do something with it. So this final section is all about the real payoff, how you turn all those numbers and notes into confident, strategic decisions.
This right here is such a key mindset shift. The whole point of research is not to prove you are right all along. It's supposed to be an opportunity for growth. It's a roadmap to make your idea even better. It's about being smart, not just about being right.
So how do you actually do that? Well, you start by asking the right questions. Does this data prove there's a real market here? What specific customer problems did we uncover? And honestly, this is the hardest part. You have to be willing to really listen to what the data is telling you, especially when it's something you didn't expect or maybe didn't want to hear. That's where the real breakthroughs happen.
And this is exactly what it looks like in the real world. After Hurricane Katrina, this inventor, David Dodgen, he didn't just see a tragedy. Through pure observation, he saw a critical, unmet need for people to store clean water during an emergency. And that single insight led directly to a real product, the Aquapod Kit.
And that observation, that one insight, led to this solution: 100 gallons. That's how much fresh, clean water his invention could store safely in a standard bathtub. It wasn't just some random idea he cooked up. It was a direct answer to a massive, urgent problem that he saw with his own eyes. That is the power of recognizing a true opportunity.
So at the end of the day, your potential customers, your competitors, the market as a whole, they are constantly telling you a story about their problems, their needs, their hopes. The only question left is, are you listening?